part out.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Mary Ann.
I'm Morgan.
I'm Kennedy.
And we're going to talk to you about the experiment we just conducted a few days ago. So our recent project was to run an experiment, run some tests, so either like ANOVA, two-sample mean, two-sample proportion, those type of tests, and then see our results and come to a conclusion and talk about the null and alternative hypothesis and all of that. So we took the time to create a survey, and we sent it to our friends, our group chats, everything like that, and had people fill it out. And some of the questions were if individuals lived in state or out of state, and then how much they spent on gas in a month. We took the data and then ran those tests. And the test we chose was the two-sample mean t-test, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so our null hypothesis was monthly gas cost does not vary depending on whether a student lives out of state or in state, and then our alternate was monthly gas does not vary depending on whether a student lives in state or out of state. So now Morgan is going to walk us through the steps we took running that data through Jamovi.
So to run the experiment, I took the data from the survey and copied the information into the software Jamovi. We had a total of 63 responses, with the grouping variable being whether the student lives in state or out of state, and the variable of interest being the money spent on gas monthly to the nearest whole number. To start, I ran a descriptives analysis to look at the standard deviations for each of the groups. To decide whether I needed to run a t-test for equal or unequal variances, I went to the RJ editor and divided the largest standard deviation by the smallest standard deviation, with the answer being 1.2587. Since the number is less than 2, we will run a t-test based on equal variances. Since the grouping variable is categorical data and the variable of interest is numerical, I chose to run an independent samples t-test, or as Mary Ann said, a two-sample means test, with monthly gas money as the dependent variable and split by the location grouping variable. Since we have equal variances, I ran a student's test rather than Welch's, which is for unequal variances. We said that the hypothesis of group 1 does not equal group 2 and ran an additional mean difference with a 95% confidence interval. Our t-statistic was 1.3462, the degrees of freedom being 61, and a p-value of 0.1832. Since our alpha was 0.05, the p-value was greater than alpha, resulting in us failing to reject the null hypothesis. Kennedy will now explain our conclusion and significance of our results.
Okay, so our conclusion is we collected insufficient evidence of a t-test value of 1.3462, a p-value of 0.1832, and an alpha level of 0.05 to reject the claim that monthly costs do not vary depending on whether a student lives in state or out of state. We will continue under the assumption that it is correct. So the significance of these results shows that students living farther from the University of Arkansas do not necessarily have to spend more on gas than those who live closer and in the state. This suggests that while we're at the university, everyone drives around the same amount due to the close proximity of things students deem necessary for living here on campus. If we are to do this study after Christmas break or after move-in, the results might be different due to the extra cost of driving back to campus. This would increase the cost of gas greatly for many out-of-state students, thus changing our results. The students who entered an amount of $0 per month for gas might not have a car and live out of state, which would alter the results as well. In the future, it would be interesting to create an experiment asking if students live in state or out of state and if they have a car here on campus. All in all, these results were enlightening, and we were interested to see that there is little to no correlation between students living in state or out of state and monthly gas expenses.
Like Kennedy said, the experiment was overall really interesting. We got to see all the different amounts of money the kids are spending on if they're in state and out of state, and I know that like I live out of state, so I pay a lot more money than some, but also there's people that are in state that live like so many hours away and spend so much money on gas too. But it just shows that there's a lot of diverse groups of people that go to the University of Arkansas. So the likelihood that one of your friends that you meet is out of state is higher than if they're in state. So, thank you.